Happy Monday, everyone, and thank you for listening to another week of the Incline. This is Kevin Klein here. I hope you had a great weekend because I sure did, because the Los Angeles Dodgers took it to the San Francisco Giants. They swept them in a 3-game series at Oracle. I hope everyone had a blast watching that. Today, we're joined by another awesome guest, a friend of the show. He's becoming a regular out here. It's Blake Harris covering the Los Angeles Dodgers for True Blue LA. You can find him on Twitter at Blake Harris TBLA for all the awesome content and videos on your Dodgers action. Blake, how's it going, man?
Now, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm definitely the best Blake you guys have interviewed in the past month. Am I right?
The only one I remember.
I was going to say, it's not often when you're the second best Blake being interviewed within a month span, but hey, I'll take it. I'll sit behind Trinan any day of the week, but thanks for having me on.
Of course, and we're always glad to have you back with us. So the Dodgers, as I said, swept the Giants, 3-game series. What a blast it was. The Dodgers outscored the Giants 19-9 overall. Over their last 12 games, they're now 11-1 during that stretch. So the Dodgers have had a weird span where they went 13-2, then 5-15, then 11-1. David Rosenthal, I know you have some bragging rights, so I'll pass the torch to you. What do you have to say for yourself?
I do, and thank you, Kevin. Yeah, so last week we were joined by Dusty Baker, so that makes 4 hosts last week, and only one of them picked the Dodgers to sweep, and that would be the person talking right now. I didn't buy this Giants team. I still don't buy them. They got exposed. The Dodgers are the superior team. The Giants have a solid roster, but their pitching staff got exposed. Their offense got exposed. Their age got exposed. And it was good to see. The Dodgers needed to do that. They really did. The Padres are playing really good baseball. And what the Dodgers just did this past weekend was a statement game, statement series. And I was lucky enough to go in person on Friday. I got to see Bauer hype up the crowd gladiator style. That was pretty awesome. But big series win for the Dodgers. Needed.
Yeah, absolutely. The Dodgers are now 29-18 this season. They've won 7 consecutive games. They're undefeated, still in the Albert Pujols era. So let's keep that rolling. Jake Reiner, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. This was awesome. I predicted that either the Giants were going to take 2 out of 3 or the Dodgers were going to take 2 out of 3, but that it wasn't going to be a sweep. So I'm just going to throw that out there for a terrible prediction. But I do want to say that it could have gone that way, right? I mean, that's the thing with this team. It's like you just mentioned the sort of the roller coaster ride we've been on since the beginning of the season, Kevin, where we sometimes don't know what team is going to show up. And when they do, it's sort of like you don't know until the game starts. And for me, that series was awesome because not only did the Dodgers show up in a big way, and not only were the Giants exposed, but the Dodgers had a ton of injuries that they had to navigate through. They were without Bellinger, where they've been without him for a while, without McKinstry, without Seager. They lost Jimmy Nelson.
Mookie for 2 games didn't play.
And Mookie was not there for 2 out of the 3 games, and they still won pretty handily. And that's what I was missing from them during that 5-15 stretch, because we had a number of these players still on the team, even though we were dealing with injuries. They just weren't playing that well. But it's really nice. We got a nice little ramp up to the Giants series by, kind of going through Miami and taking it to them. And we took it to Arizona. And we ramped up really nicely for this Giants series. And now we're in a perfect position to face an Astros team who just got swept by the Rangers.
Yeah, so we'll go around the horn. I'll start this one off, each just giving a big takeaway from this past series, how we just dominated the Giants. So for me, what really stood out was the Dodgers starting pitching. We talked last week how the Giants on paper had the best starting staff ERA. That's no longer the case. In that 3-game stretch, the starters had a 186 combined ERA, 26 strikeouts over 19 and a third innings. That was absolutely huge. Obviously, Trevor Bauer was the big one that stood out, but I want to give you guys the opportunity to probably elaborate on that. So I'll give it over to Blake now.
I mean, you touched on it. The starting pitching, we expected Bauer, Bueller, Urias. We figured they'd shove, but I mean, it truly is remarkable. I'm still trying to get over the fact that Bauer threw 126 pitches, which nowadays, like if you throw 110, that's almost unheard of. Where getting into 126, and the crazy part is, I feel like he could have gotten to like 140, 150. Was it following the game? Someone asked him like, how did it feel to empty the tank? And he's like, who said I emptied the tank? And I'm thinking like, because someone asked him to like, how many more pitches could you have thrown? And he didn't give like an exact answer, but I was hoping he could have said like, I'm good for 150. Just because that's not giving Dave any good ideas there. But just overall, yeah, three fantastic games. I'm upset that David got to witness the gladiator moment in person because that was just so epic. And I just love this guy more and more each day. But, the starting pitching, they got the job done. I mean, at this point in the season, the fact that you can make the case that Kershaw is the, I guess, fourth best starter, or I guess technically worst starters so far that's in this 4-man rotation is absurd because everyone's just been doing so well. So yeah, the starting pitching was excellent. But also my biggest takeaway, I just want to give a shout out to Gabe Kapler for a Sunday's game, because for whatever reason, he thought it was a great idea to intentionally walk DJ Peters, which I think at the time it was 5-0. I want to say when they intentionally walked and then Julio hit the double. Like, do they just see DJ and think this guy is about to, go like Adam Dunn on them and just hit an absolute move? Well, he can, but like, do they not have the scouting report that if you just give him a high fastball, he's a guaranteed strikeout? So DJ Peters getting the intentional walks like crazy. I'm down. And like I said, that literally changed the course of the game on Sunday, because he probably strikes out. It's 5-0, plenty of time to get back in the game. So starting pitching, they shoved. Gabe Kapler, thank you. And as David, I think, said it earlier, the Giants were exposed for who a lot of us kind of assumed they were, because they hadn't been playing really any good teams, for the most part. I think they had one of the easiest schedules in baseball for the first month and a half. So I didn't predict the sweep. I wish I could have been on board with David. I did predict 2 out of 3, but I'm still very down for a Giants sweep any day of the week over the Dodgers' biggest and only rivals.
What Gabe Kapler didn't know was that it was actually Julio Urias who was Adam Dunn.
Yeah, you're right.
and he just absolutely destroyed that pitch.
Go ahead, Jake. Give me your takeaway.
So, yeah, I mean, just based, kind of what I was talking about earlier, it was nice to see guys step up that, hadn't been stepping up thus far. I mean, we're seeing Gavin Lux, who is on an absolute tear right now. And I just want to put this out there because I put it out there on Twitter during the game, is that this was one of the only podcasts. I think it was the only podcast. I know Blake has his own podcast, but that basically said, let's have patience with this guy. Let's see what happens when he gets consistent at bats. He hadn't had that up until now. And now he is the starting shortstop with Seager out, but he was the starting second baseman. So he is getting regular at bats and he's coming through and he is performing to the level that the Dodgers were scouting him all these years for. And he's proving why he was rated so highly as a prospect. That's huge. And not only offensively, but what an upgrade defensively. Just knowing that a routine ground ball to shortstop is not going to be an adventure is really just a nice thing to have. And his arm is, adequate, and he has nice range. He gets to a ton of balls. And that's just, I mean, what team out there can lose an all-time all-star talent, World Series MVP in Corey Seager, and replace him with someone that is just as good? That's why this team is as spectacular as it is. And like I said in our last episode, the Giants would not be able to withstand any of the injuries that the Dodgers have been able to withstand. And that's a true testament to how deep this team is. And yeah, they were exposed this weekend, and I'm glad that the Dodgers were able to step up and do that.
Yeah. So you guys touched on it. I'm going to touch on it a little bit here in a second, but I just want to shout out Nate Jones for a second. This dude came in first game, got 5 outs after being in the Albuquerque desert and not getting to the stadium until 2 hours before game time. The Dodgers picked this guy up off the street. Atlanta threw him away. He was good on the White Sox. And this dude just comes up. Oh, you're in Albuquerque? All right, come to the stadium. All right, I'll get 5 high leverage outs. No problem. So shout out to Nate Jones for saving that game after Bauer threw 126 pitches. But the starting pitching has been the Dodgers' greatest strength by far. And my takeaway is Walker Buehler looked as good as he's looked all season. And if you look at the numbers, he's actually been their worst starter. Kershaw and Arias and Bauer have been very consistent across the board. But if you look at the numbers, Buehler in Sierra is 17th and FIP is 29th, expected ERA not in the top 30, and WAR 27th. And then you pair that with Bauer. Sierra for Bauer is 4th in MLB, FIP 16th, expected ERA 2nd, WAR 13th. Kershaw Sierra is 10th, FIP is 7th, expected ERA 11th, and WAR is 6th in baseball. And Arias is right along the same lines, 9th in WAR, 14th expected ERA, 9th in FIP, and 7th in Sierra. So my takeaway is Buehler. He looked phenomenal. That's the best I've seen him look in a while. The command was there. The breaking ball was there. And, once he gets going, he tends to be a bit of a slow starter in the regular season from what I remember. And once he gets on these other three guys, I don't know what they're how are you going to stop this team? Every pitcher on the Dodgers is like, oh shit, we have to play him. So that's my takeaway. Gonsolin pitched 3 innings for Oklahoma City the other day, so I'll be interested to see how he does in the majors. But this pitching staff is ridiculous.
I just wanted to add 2 quick things on Nate Jones. Where one, I think it was Friday night, someone asked Dave post-game, like, was the first time you and Nate Jones interacted when you gave him the ball in the 7th inning? And I was like, I was just hoping that Dave would have said, like, actually, yes, that was my first interaction. But, like, I think that he met, like, at 6 o'clock, like, 1 hour prior. And also, Nate Jones even mentioned this on Saturday, because I remember the reason I think, like, the Braves released him was because his walk rate was just, like, insanely high. He had something like 10 walks and I think, I don't know, like 12 innings or something like that. Well, he was like talking in his presser and he was like, yeah, everyone like talks about my walk rate, but like more than half of those walks were intentional walks. So I know everyone was freaking out, but he, I guess, had a lot of intentional walks. So again, if he can just get those walk numbers down, because, David mentioned when he was with the White Sox, the dude was a stud. And in his brief outings with the Braves, he was good. He just walked a bunch of guys, kind of like Kenley. But so yeah, Nate Jones, we love Nate Jones in this household. He is the future all-star reliever the Dodgers desperately need.
He could be the next Brandon
give
Morrow.
you can give Blake Trinan a rest for once. And Victor.
You'd think that the Braves would know that a lot of those were intentional walks. I mean, isn't Brian Snitker ordering those intentional walks? That's right. A weird one.
Yeah,
you had to know that once the Dodgers picked up Nate Jones, the Braves GM was like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, I just looked it up. He has 4 intentional walks in like his 4 outings on the year.
All right, so I got my Trevor Bauer in the clutch shirt on, and that's because Trevor Bauer absolutely shoved the other game, as we were talking about. I'm glad he made his case to come out in the 7th. I know a lot of people were questioning, like, how do you let this guy out there? He was already at, I think, 113 pitches, I want to say.
Yeah, sounds right.
The mechanics were a little off. He was getting a little wild, but his last 20 pitches, 14 of those 20 final pitches, the velocity was over 95 miles per hour. So he was throwing his hardest at the end of the game. If you actually remember, he was throwing like 92, 93 pretty consistently. Towards the end, he was up in that velocity. I forget who he struck out, but he got his 11th strikeout. Then Roberts was able to take him out, go to Nate Jones. Trevor Bauer, I don't know how anyone dislikes this guy at this point. He's made a name for himself in the Dodgers record books already. When that bullpen was depleted because of the bullpen game, since Jake hates those, Trevor Bauer was willing to throw all the pitches necessary to preserve that bullpen, and they only needed to use Nate Jones and then Blake Trinan to close it out.
Well, that's my whole thing about the bullpen games is that you have Trevor Bauer. Yes, he can throw 126 pitches, but why would you want to force him to do that? And right. And I'm glad that Nate Jones was able to come in and shut the door, but what if he didn't? Like, what if, like, there was a guy that you don't, fully trust yet could come in and absolutely get, blown out of there. So that's a very, that's not a great position to put yourself in. If you're the Dodgers, you're kind of playing with fire there. And it worked out, but if it didn't work out, you'd have a lot of people saying, well, why'd you bring in Nate Jones, the new guy, in this situation? And then the answer is, well, we didn't really have, we didn't have anybody else to bring in because we wasted everybody the day before in a bullpen game. I am just like praying that Tony Gonsolin is okay and that he can come back and be the 5th starter, because I'm sick of this crap.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one. I haven't caught every episode you guys have done this season, so I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but remember when Dave at the beginning of the season was saying, "Oh yeah, we have 8 starters with Jimmy Nelson being one of the starters." I know he had like a spot start in the bullpen game like a week ago, but can't he go 5 innings or get you 4 innings? Like I'm with you, Jake. I'm not a fan of the bullpen games. I'm fine if they want to throw Jimmy Nelson for 4. Do like Edwin Uceta for 3 and then go for
David
there
Price.
if needed. But yeah, David Price, have him go for. Like, I don't get why it's not Jimmy Nelson for 4, David Price for 4, and then pray to God you're up, and then use Edwin Uceta or Dennis Santana when you have a 7-run lead and pray that that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I especially before Bauer, because yeah, you're asking him to, essentially he's not going to throw his arm off, but yeah, asking him to go 126 pitches isn't the most ideal. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the using 6-7 arms in one game and just saying, well, Bauer should give us 7 to 8, because you never know.
I think there's a couple reasonable explanations for why that's not the case. David Price was probably going to get to that point, but he had to spend a month on the IL. So that definitely sets him back. And then Jimmy Nelson, I know for sure he is not stretched out. He hadn't pitched in over a year, and they want to ease him back in, and now he's on the IL. I think it's more for precautionary reasons, but still, Nelson to me has established himself as one of the best high leverage relievers in the game, and I don't want to burn him out in a spot start.
And you also got to consider, I don't know if they were going to seriously consider it, but Josiah Gray being shut down during this time after May got hurt, I think maybe possibly affected their plans, because, hey, maybe they throw him there for a couple spot starts. So I don't know. I think if anyone should be stretched out, it should be David Price. I kind of like Nelson in the 1 to 2 inning role, because he's just been absolutely dominant, minus his first 2 outings of the year.
Max Muncy is scorching hot. His batting average is now up to 292. Who would have thought, given how his season started? He's an on base of 460. He's got 10 home runs over his last 7 games played, 476 batting average, 857 slugging. What are your guys' just takeaways of Max Muncy turning it around?
That Jay cured him.
Thank you, Blake. No, Blake, you did a great breakdown of what Max Muncy's been doing since May 5th. And I just so happened to have tweeted on that same day when they were playing the Cubs that he looked different. He was hitting the ball to the opposite field. Yeah. And remember, up until that point, he wasn't making contact with the ball. It was either a strikeout or a walk. So I kind of noticed that he was kind of changing his approach, and he was hitting the ball to the opposite field. He also took Craig Kimbrell deep. And I could just tell that things were turning around from him. We need Max Muncy. We need Will Smith. We need Justin Turner and Chris Taylor. I mean, those are the guys that are going to have to carry the load while we're dealing with the Bellinger, Seager, and now Betts injury, which I'd like to get into a little bit if you guys wanted to talk about Mookie Betts. Right. But Max Muncy is that guy, and you can rely on him. And it is really nice to see that he's not just getting walks, but driving in runs. That's what was driving me crazy about the first part of the season, which was he was missing balls down the middle, and he wasn't driving in runs, and he was doing that pass the torch thing. But the problem is that after him, nobody else was hitting, and we kind of needed him to be that guy to drive and run. So I'm super thrilled with what he's doing. And it kind of aligns with the prediction I made at the beginning of the season, where I thought Max Muncy's going to have another 35 home run season and 100 RBIs. And it looks like that's what's going to happen.
Can you tweet about Justin Turner next?
Yes, I will. And I'm actually wearing my Justin Turner In the Clutch shirt, which you should go to intheclutch.com with a promo code Incline 20, I believe it is, for 20% off.
Incline Dodgers.
Incline Dodgers. Incline Dodgers. Want to get that right.
Are you guys concerned about Justin Turner's defense at all? I was looking at the stats, and he has a -4, -5 defensive run save already this early.
Wow, it's that bad?
It's that bad.
It's so crazy. Kevin, you come up with these stats where I'm like, I'm watching the game, and it doesn't align. Like it's so weird.
That's like how Justin Turner's kind of like been for the last few years, where it seems like he'll have the occasional play where it's like he might have been a little slow getting there or whatever, but it seems like he's making like consistently like above average plays, but like his defensive numbers are always just below average. So like I said, my guess was probably right around just, again, with league averages, but that number that Kevin just said does not sound like league average. I mean, that sounds like Tatis average in regards to defense.
Well, you want to know who the best defensive catcher in the National League is? By using
Go
the same
ahead.
metric, it's Will Smith.
Oh, not the direction I thought we were going.
The stale prince.
He's absolutely on fire over his last 7 games. He's batting .429 with 2 home runs. He's got a .372 on base thus far this season. So the bat for Will Smith has come alive, and it's paying dividends. And the defensive metrics I just talked about, throwing out base runners too. We got all-star Will Smith in form.
Isn't his frame rate like one of the best as well? Like according to like stat, like
it tailed off, but we don't have to talk about it.
Can only get so much.
But yeah, Austin Barnes was not who I was talking about, but he did hit a home run in San Francisco, so that was awesome to see. And he had a like a RBI bunt. I don't know what is the word I'm looking
Safety
for?
squeeze.
A safety
Squeeze. Yes, thank you. And they beat Scott Kazmir, thank God, because they were paying him all that money.
But he didn't pitch that bad. He pitched actually really well
To everyone but Muncy.
Right.
Exactly. My final thoughts.
I also love. Just want to throw that out there that Muncy now is tied for the most splash hits by an away player at that whatever they call that park now, which is cool. Oracle Park.
Yeah.
So he has 3 splash hits, and I forget who he's tied with, but that's pretty sweet.
One of them was, I remember, was Carlos Delgado, and I was like,
Yes.
wow, that is a MVP baseball 05 favorite right there. But yeah, it was a couple, but I remember Carlos Delgado was one of them.
My final thoughts on this series, and then we'll move over to the next segue. Dave Roberts managed that series almost flawlessly. Maybe the best he's done all season long. He pulled all the right strings, pushed all the right buttons. Some people in this room right here were pissed that they subbed in Max Muncy for defensive purposes. But for me, in a 1-run game, you absolutely have to do it, because if the Giants get a base runner on a BS error, you're going to lose your mind. So,
okay. Can I get a word in here for a minute?
Yeah.
All right. That substitution was asinine. You don't bring in Max Muncy for 1/2 inning as a defensive substitution at first base. I forget what the score was. I think they were only up by 1 run.
2-1.
But 2-1. And you put him in the lineup where he's up 6th instead of he didn't even get an at bat. If you're going to bring in Max Muncy, basically the hottest hitter on the planet, you bring him in the pitcher spot, or you take out DJ Peters, who was up first the next inning, and then you can put him in at first. You can bring in Yoshi to play left field. You don't use Max Muncy as a defensive substitution and forfeit his at bat until if there was a 10th inning. That's dumb. I don't care if it worked out. Albert Pujols isn't 80 years old. He can handle first base for another 1/2 inning. That was a dumb substitution. It worked out, but that was dumb. Overall, dumb decision. But it didn't matter. That's all I got to say.
Final thoughts, and then we're going to talk Astros. Blake Harris's closer, Kenley Jansen. What a season he's having. 1.31 ERA, holding opponents' batting averages to an 0.82 against. How does that feel, Blake?
That is illegal. That is, I mean, the crazy part is the fact that, like, we're literally a Will Smith like tag and like hit in Oakland away from literally people having no problem with Kenley all year, because that blown game he had in Oakland, which again, he literally could have had Will Smith hung onto the ball. Like, he'd be fantastic on the season. And for whatever reason, people just thought he was bad then. So Kenley, maybe because it's a contract year, maybe that's a little more incentive, but he's pitching pissed. He said it multiple times. He's pitching angry. And like, even if because I think right now his walks per 9 is down to only 6 per 9. If he can get that down to like 3, there's literally going to be no stopping this guy, because I don't have how many hits he has on the season, but whatever hits he's allowed, it's kind of like the Trinan treatment, where it's either just against the shift or it's like an exit velocity of like 60 or 70 off the bat. So get those walks down. And I mean, this is one of his best seasons over the last decade. I mean, he's just been, the fact that he's hitting 97, it's got me feeling some kind of way. I never thought I'd see that again. But when he's hitting 97 and he's throwing like 93, 94 with some good movement as well. So yeah, Kenley, my GD closer. I don't know what the rating is on the Incline podcast, but he's my GD closer.
GD closer. Well, it just goes to show you that the work that he put in after the final out of the World Series up until now has really paid off. And I think he even talked about, I can't remember which coach it was, but they changed his routine to instead of, doing heavy weightlifting, to do more, cardio and conditioning to get him in a, sort of a physical and mental mindset to throw that hard. And I think that Dave Roberts has been managing him pretty damn well. He's limiting him on back-to-back nights. He's had to come in back-to-back nights on some occasions because, there just isn't anybody else. And the bullpen is hurting and taxed. And again, another bad thing about bullpen days is that can happen. But I think, I'm going to have to eat my words, because at the beginning of the season, I said he wasn't a high leverage reliever anymore. And to my credit, he wasn't at that time. And that's a big reason why they didn't use him, for the final out of the World Series, and they used Julio Urias. But man, he has proven me and a lot of other people wrong this season. I love that he's pitching angry. He looks dominant. He looks like he can't be beat. And you're right, Blake. He gets those walks down. Nobody's touching his cutter or touching any of his other pitches when he gets them in the zone.
Do you guys think that, because obviously during spring training, I think even now, him and Bauer, they became throwing partners. Do you think Bauer has had any, because I mean, Kenley, I don't think has come out and been like, oh, it's, Bauer's been teaching me this and that. But do you think it's a coincidence that, again, the second he becomes, good buds and throwing partners with Bauer, maybe he's taught him a little something or two, maybe giving him a little sticky substance or two or something like that as well?
Well, in terms of the actual pitch improvement, we heard from Blake Trinan just a couple weeks ago and we saw it displayed in a game just the other night, that Bauer was teaching Trinan how to throw basically a backdoor slider. So we haven't spoken to Jansen, but I have to believe they are working together in some form.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing it through Blake Trinan's slider this year is dramatically different than it was last year. And he said it himself. He credits Trevor Bauer for tinkering with it. So I don't see why not. I don't see how Bauer wouldn't have some impact on Kenley. Obviously, I'm going to give the credit to Kenley himself, but I don't see how Bauer wouldn't have some kind of influence on it.
Right.
All right. So
bottom line, Bauer's been great for this team.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Dodgers are going back to Houston. Last season, they took care of business. They won both games. It was a 2-game series. They're going to play another 2-game series. The Houston Astros are losers of 3 straight. They're 26-21, currently in second place in their division. So my first question to you guys is, how loud do the Astros fans boo the Dodgers? Are they going to give us the treatment like we were the team that was cheating?
That's what I don't get, because I've been seeing this on Astros Twitter and everyone, how all these Astro fans are excited and upset with the Dodgers coming to town. Why should their fans be mad at us and hate us? What? Am I missing something here?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, these fans just never shut up, man. They just don't shut up. They're insecure about their illegitimate championship. And they think Dodger fans are whiny and babies. So yeah, they're gonna boo all the Dodgers. They'll boo Kershaw. They'll boo all these guys. But frankly, I don't think it's gonna matter. I'm gonna make my second sweep prediction right now that they're gonna take 2 out of 2 in Houston.
I like it.
I don't think it's a coincidence, though, that this is the first game that they are going to be at full capacity at Minute Maid Park this year. Which, by the way, I don't know if you've seen any of the highlights from Houston or even from Arlington, but it already looks like they're at full capacity. So I don't know what the difference is going to be, but I don't think it's a coincidence that this is the first series that we're going to see Minute Maid Park at its capacity. I'm with you guys. I don't understand what they could be possibly booing us about. Maybe they're just booing the fan base or the franchise for
so bad,
being
man.
angry.
It's so bad.
I mean, we do know that, that Bellinger and Turner, they were very outspoken against, Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve. That was before the shutdown happened at the first iteration of spring training last year. So we do know that there were some Dodgers players that were outspoken. We do know that Bauer is going to get just absolutely hounded with boos. He was booed in San Francisco. but that's going to be an exciting game on Wednesday when he takes the mound, especially since he's been trolling Houston even way before he was a member of the Dodgers.
That's true. My second question is, does Joe Kelly pitch?
Doesn't he have to?
I need Bauer to go 7 with Joe Kelly coming in the 8th. Like, I need air. Like, I don't ask for much. I really don't. But if I can have anything, it's that those two guys, well, I mean, we're already getting Bauer. It's just a matter of like, I need Joe out there. Like it's a matter of, does Dave have the balls to do something like that, to throw him out there? I hope he does, but I need it. I need Joe out there on that mound.
Dave can be petty and salty.
My question is, for the people who despise Trevor Bauer to the point of rooting against the Dodgers when he pitches, what are they going to do for this series? Because I know they hate the Astros too, but they also hate Trevor Bauer. So what are these guys rooting for? Are they just rooting for a Dodgers win after Bauer gives up 8 runs and then we come back in the 9th, or what are they doing? What's their plan here? I would love to know.
I think their plan is that they're going to go to therapy.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be good too.
Or just turn the game off and not watch.
That is quite a dilemma. So here are the pitching matchups. This is one of my favorite. I'm glad we get to see it at least one more time. Zach Greinke against Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
That'll be game 1. Game 2, Trevor Bauer, as you guys just said, against Luis Garcia. Not too familiar with this guy, but according to the Incline chat scouting report, he's a big dude.
Yeah, he is. He's a hefty right-hander.
So Zach,
I'm excited to see Greinke Kershaw, but I do have a quick question for you guys. I mean, this is sort of the scene of the crime for Kershaw. Game 5 of the World Series. Again, I'll repeat it. I was there. Do we think Kershaw? Well, I guess, how do we think Kershaw is going to handle this moment, and do we think he's going to dominate this Astros lineup?
He'll be a champ, and what I'm hopeful for is just like he'll go 6-7 innings, allow 1 run or something like that. And then it's like, well, you see what happens when it's an even playing field. I'm just praying that he just doesn't have like one of those outings where he, allows like 4 or 5 runs. And then it's just going to be kind of like, it's not going to discredit what happened in 2017, but then people are going to be like, oh, you see, like, now there's an even playing field. So I'm hopeful that he's got his A game. He will. I mean, he'll be locked in, and Greinke will be locked in. It's going to be rocking there. And so I'm expecting him to have one of his Kershaw-esque starts, but I'm just, hoping and praying that it doesn't implode, which potentially can, the way it's going to be rocking there.
Zach Greinke's still dealing at his age. He's 4-1 with a 3.77 ERA, but he has so many blowups against the Dodgers. It's kind of crazy. And over his last 2 seasons combined, he has a 9.82 ERA.
Jesus. I didn't know that.
Yeah, on the Kershaw front, I think he's going to pitch well. I do. But I do think there is going to be 1 or 2 annoying solo home runs that he gives up. It'll be to Correa or Gurriel or Bregman. One of those guys. That's just how the story I see going. But I think he's going to pitch around 6 innings, give up 1 or 2 runs, and basically shut them up. But in terms of Zach Greinke, I think the Dodgers are going to kill this guy. The offense is humming. He can't throw the ball hard anymore. He's going to have to rely on his 57-mile-an-hour eephus pitches to get through this Dodgers lineup. Hopefully Betts is back healthy. But look, the numbers, he's still a solid pitcher, but I'm just going to say it. He's washed up. He is. And the Dodgers are going to make him pay for being washed up.
Betts is 3 for 5 against Greinke with 3 home runs. Turner is 11 for 33 with 2 home runs. Albert Pujols, career hitter, 304. And Austin Barnes,
he's on the Dodgers, man.
And Austin Barnes, who will probably be in the lineup, is 2 for 4 with 1 home run.
I'd love to see an Albert Pujols majestic home run like he did
in the same spot of that famous home run. Yeah,
2005 NLCS. Oh God, that would be so great.
Yeah. So you mentioned there is some concerns that Kershaw might give up an annoying home run, and I don't know what's going on out there in Houston, but these batting averages are very suspicious. Yordan Alvarez is hitting 318 with 7 home runs. Yuli Gurriel 319 with 7 home runs. Jose Altuve has a 17-game hitting streak, and he's also hitting 314. Alex Bregman has the exact same batting average as Altuve. And then Carlos Correa's hitting 270 himself. So
Well, they're as a team, they are second in the majors in team OPS at 762. So they have been hitting the ball really well this year. I wonder why. But Yordan Alvarez is in a little bit of a slump on the recent road trip. He recently went 3 for 22 with 9 Ks. So he's struggling a little bit. The Astros also come into this, like we mentioned, getting swept by the Rangers. They were 2-4 on their recent road trip. So they in contrast to the Dodgers, they are not coming into this game humming.
Well, luckily we have Josh Fields who can strike out Yordan Alvarez to
Please
avenge the
don't.
trade.
Please, I saw that tweet on the timeline the other day, and I just thought, oh God, man.
I'm gonna be if Yordan Alvarez has a bad series, I'm gonna be so obnoxious on Twitter regarding the Josh Fields trade. Just wait for it.
God. But the Astros again are proving why they're the stupidest team in the history of mankind, where they literally did not need to cheat. Like, they're still so good without it. So I still don't get it.
That's what really bothers me about the whole thing is that they do have talented players, and they could have very well have beaten the Yankees and beaten the Dodgers in the postseason, and yet they had to resort to this bullshit.
And then Kyle Tucker, who replaced George Springer, 299. He's not good, but he has 10 home runs. So I don't know too much about him, but
not
their
good.
bullpen sucks.
And Pedro Baez, as you mentioned, the bullpen has not pitched thus far for the Astros this season, so I don't expect that to change.
Well, it's because he's still making his way to Houston. He hasn't gotten there yet.
I was going to say, he just hasn't made his first pitch yet. He's still on the mound.
Yeah.
Any other takeaways from this vengeful Dodgers-Astros series?
I just want to say one. That either on the plane, in his hotel room, Trevor Bauer is planning something. Now, I don't think he's going to go to the extent of hitting someone, even though he desperately probably wants to just like throw a 99 9-hour fastball that he probably has never thrown and just hit someone on the arm. But he knows that, I mean, every game he does, it's something different where it blows up on social media or whatever he talks about it. And it's always a win for him. He has to be planning something, whether it's he goes 6 or 7 and on the way back to the dugout, he like does the Joe Kelly frown. I don't know what, but something has to be coming, because again, you can make the case that this guy, to be honest, might hate the Astros than any maybe of those Dodgers from that team, because the Dodgers, they won a World Series, so maybe they're not as hateful now towards them as they once were. Bauer hates this team. Like, he wears the shirts saying like trash roast, Houston cheated. He's called them out multiple times. He hates these guys. He's like said the only team I will never play for is the Astros. So that he's gonna do something. That's why I'm praying that he has the game of his life, because if he like allows 5 or 6 runs in like 3 or 4 innings, it gets pulled and the whole thing's just, it sucks.
Yeah, that's going to be rough.
Yeah. If he's dealing, or even then, and if he's doing whatever, like if the Dodgers give him like a quick like 8-2 lead or something like that, where he has a comfortable lead, like I don't know what, but Twitter is going to be going nuts with some things he does, and I am looking so forward to it.
Yeah, he definitely has something planned. I'm not so sure that he'll throw at anybody. I just don't think that's his style.
Yeah.
He's more of a troll. But I'm really looking forward to him taking the mound against the Astros, even if he doesn't like play in anything. Just him being on the mound against these guys is going to be pure theater, and I can't wait.
I love when he takes the sword and like sticks it in his pocket or whatever. And I think sadly,
the sword.
I think sadly there's only about 5 Dodgers left from that 2017 team.
Yeah, I think so too.
I agree. He's not going to throw at anybody. That's not what he's going to do. But what I hope he does is shoves, first of all. And after every inning and every strikeout, I wanted to be obnoxious about it. I want to see McGregor struts. I want to see sword sheaths. I want to see everything. I want to see all of it.
Pocket sword.
I want him to be a showman as well as a pitcher. And I would love to see him just strike out 10 over 6 innings and give up 1 run and leave with the lead and be completely obnoxious about it. And feed off that crowd and just the man in the arena, just feeding off all the hate.
I sorry to cut off Jake, but I'm just picturing it's like the 6th inning. He gets his like 11th strikeout. The Dodgers are up 6, and he just turns to the Astros dugout, and I'm just picturing him just like doing one of these numbers. If he does
a little bang for those who aren't watching on YouTube is what Blake was doing. A little bang of the trash can. gesture.
I would go buy a Bauer jersey like that night. Like the purchase would be made. I still need a Joe Kelly one just because, like, again, he's hurt the Dodgers so many times in the past. I know we kind of hype him up more than he should because of how many times he screwed the Dodgers, but still what he did last year, like, won me over for life, where I do need to pay it back to him somehow. But if Bauer were to somehow, again, like, do that banging of any kind, or again, just shows him up, yeah, like, yes, already a fan for life, but I need it. Like,
I feel like this is worth saying because I have seen a lot of people on my, in my mentions or just on Twitter in general saying like, oh, get over it. It's 2017. Like get over this whole thing. And to that, I say this is the first opportunity that fans will get to boo this team. Keep in mind, there were no fans at the games last year. And that's when we found out about everything that happened and the entire investigation. So it's not so much that we haven't forgotten about the 2017 World Series and we're butthurt about being beaten. We're still upset that we got cheated out of that World Series title. And all the other teams are pissed off as well. And that's why you're seeing guys getting booed wherever they go. And if the Josh Reddick thing is any indication of what's to come when the Astros come to Dodger Stadium, I am looking forward to it. I know that Dieter Rule is probably practicing at home right now, coming up with every single trash can song he can come up with, every single Ace of Base song that he can come up with. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I think for Dodgers fans, this is what we need, because the Astros got off pretty much scot-free. The players did. And, they basically didn't get suspended. They didn't get any sort of slap on the wrist or anything like that. And then, oh, by the way, the pandemic happened and they were shielded even further because there were no fans in the stands. So to all the people out there that say, get over it. No, this is our shot. This is our chance to, really release all the anger and tension that has been building up for this amount of time.
Right. So whoever created the schedule just keeps on giving, because after this Astros series, we'll do it rapid fire, but they're playing the Giants again for a 4-game series at Dodger Stadium this time. Just a 10-game stretch or so of just hate nonstop. But we're going to see probably the same pitchers lined up again. I don't know about Scott Kazmir because he's not good, but we'll see Kevin Gausman. He's lined up this go around. He's 4-0 with a 1.66 ERA. So whether you want to just drop a prediction or a quick analysis of what the Dodgers have to do to take care of business, I'll let each of you give a quick take.
Well, I already made my take for the Astros series. I think they're going to take both games, and I think Trevor Bauer is going to gain a lot of fans from around the league and from Dodgers fans who may not like him right now. I think this is an opportunity to become a sort of cult hero, as Joe Kelly was. And in the Giants series, I mean, I guess I'll give him one game. I think the Dodgers are going to take 3 out of 4. I'd like to see Bellinger and McKinstry come back. As Roberts has said, it's going to be probably this upcoming weekend. So I would like to see them come back. What they can produce right off the bat is unknown, obviously. But I'm picking the Dodgers to win all these games because our pitching staff is ridiculous. It is truly absurd. These 4 guys have just been awesome. And how am I supposed to pick against them? I'm just not going to do it.
All right. I think this is where I interject now, because I wanted to give some praise to Mark Pryor, who, besides the managers, I'm talking coaches, he might be the greatest coaching hire in franchise history. And the numbers over the last 12 games where they went 11-1, the pitching staff as a whole has a 2.08 ERA. And when you factor in just all the injuries and these new guys coming in, and we saw how Dustin May looked before he went down and the breakout of Urias, I think you can make a strong case like whatever Mark Pryor is doing is just going like unrecognized. Like he might be the best pitching coach in baseball, just with the numbers and the spin rate and everything.
I mean, even in his first year, weren't the Dodgers like number one? Like it was, I think they were number one bullpen last year, or at least in the top. Same with the starters. So yeah, his 2-year sample size, or I guess 100-game sample size, has been
and
very.
And he was the
good
bullpen coach prior to that, no pun intended. And we saw guys like Floro and Trinan. Well, not Trinan, but Floro and Kolarek, and just the list goes on. Baez. You can just run down the order.
Right. He's done great. Yeah, I'll go mine. It's tough, for a 4-game series to call a sweep. If it was a 3-game, I'd be calling a sweep, but you have to think maybe the Giants get by one of those games. But I mean, after watching this past series, I don't think this team is like as good as their record says. Granted, the Dodger pitching shoved, the Giants offense essentially went pretty ice cold. But I mean, if Buster Posey, if Brandon Crawford, if they're not hitting, who else in that lineup can they rely on that's going to be giving you good at bats? So I will go. Actually, no, screw it. I'm going with the sweep. I'm going the 4-game sweep. I'm being optimistic here. I'm taking the sweep. Right. I mean, especially if Bellinger and McKinstry. Well, I think McKinstry's supposed to come back before Bellinger, so maybe they get McKinstry back for like Thursday or Friday. Then you get Bellinger Saturday, Sunday. So they'll have the reinforcements back. I think they'll have everyone good to go. So I'm taking the 4-game sweep. And the crazy thing is, like, if you just were to take out that stupid, weird 5-15 stretch where it just made no sense. I think they had like 7 losses by 1 run. This team is literally 24-3. Now, granted, you're taking out half their games, but they're 24-3 without that awful stretch where they were actually the worst team in baseball. So this team, when they're on their clicking streak, which they're on now, and I think they'll carry, from Houston into LA, I'm not going to be shocked if by the end of the weekend, they're riding a 13-game winning streak. I think they're at 7 now. So wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, it just goes to show you that the only way the Dodgers lose is if they beat themselves. I don't think anybody out there can actually beat them, can actually take it to them right now in the National League. And maybe the Padres, maybe, but I think what we saw over that awful 5-15 stretch was the Dodgers just beating themselves. They lost a lot of one-run games. They had a lot of pitchers out there that shouldn't have been out there. They were making errors left and right. Nobody was hitting. But if the Dodgers can score 3 to 4 runs a game in the Giants series, they'll sweep. I do think they'll lose one of those games. And if you follow any of my predictions thus far in terms of Dodgers series, it means they will sweep. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that they're going to drop at least one of those games, maybe the Kevin Gausman game. But like I said, if they score at least 3 to 4 runs, they don't need much with that pitching staff. That pitching staff will be able to shut down that Giants lineup because it is nothing. The lineup I'm more afraid of is the Astros lineup because they've got some actual mashers in that lineup that we know that have beaten us in the past. So that's the series I'm a little more worried for in terms of, will some stupid shit happen at Minute Maid Park? The fact that they have home field advantage. But yeah, with the way they're playing right now, I don't think anybody can beat them.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing about you said about how they've been beating themselves. Had it not been for that Sheldon Noisy error a week ago, in which then resulted like in an Adam Duvall home run, they'd be riding like an 11-game winning streak or a 12-game winning streak. I can't remember if they've won 11 or their last 12, whatever it is. That's their only loss where, again, he gets the routine play. They're out of that inning. They win that game against the Marlins, and that's their only loss in this like 2-week stretch.
Well, right. They shouldn't have lost to the Marlins, just like they shouldn't have lost to the Cubs, and they shouldn't have lost to the Reds.
And that one in Milwaukee that they lost on the walk-off too, yeah. Like this team could easily be 4 or 5 games up in first place, like they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Padres have won 9 games in a row. Someone needs to stop them. Thanks a lot, Seattle.
Hey, Woodruff's doing just that. Last I checked, 15 minutes ago.
Oh, nice. They're playing the
very
Brewers.
Good.
That's good.
A good team for once.
Yeah, they're down 3-0 in the fourth.
All right, so we're gonna use the final 10 minutes or so. Free for all. I'll start with Jake Reiner.
Oh yeah,
pick a couple subjects that you wanted to.
But I'll go ahead, Jake.
So I just wanted to kind of throw this out to you guys. I'm a little worried about Mookie Betts, and I want to get your guys' take on that. He got 2 days off during that Giants series. The first game was what Dave Roberts called a spa day, which just seemed like, okay, they're just kind of giving him a mental and physical break. But then he was a late scratch with left shoulder soreness before Sunday's game. We know he was out for, a couple of games, 4 games in mid-April with that lower back issue. And I mean, it does explain a lot. I mean, he hasn't really been the Mookie Betts that we know he can be. And he's still hitting all right, but not to the level that we expect him to. Are you guys worried about his health and what do you make about all this recent news with him?
Mookie Betts is still winning National League MVP. That's how
he's better. I got 7-1 odds on him winning.
That's how worried I am.
Wow.
That's a strong take this far into the season.
Yeah. I mean, you did say that Gleyber Torres is going to win MVP, so I don't know.
It could still happen.
Well, are you worried? Are you worried, David?
No, I'm not. I'm not worried about his skill. I'm not worried about his slow start.
No, I mean,
if there's
about
anything to be
injuries.
worried about, maybe. But I think if it was actually serious, I think they'd put him on the IL. So I think he's just dealing with a little, minor things here and there that are kind of slowing him down. And the thing I've noticed this year is the speed. He's not as fast as he was last year. So you can tell that, and it's not like this dude aged 20 years in 1 year. So obviously some injury is hampering him. And, balls you see him beat out last year, he hasn't beat those out this year. Ground ball in the infield. So a little bit of concern, but look, it's a long season. Guys can play through it and still get healthy at the same time. So no is the short answer.
I think they said on the broadcast the other day that Luke Raley has the same sprint speed as Mookie Betts this season, which I don't know if that's a credit to Luke Raley for having wheels or for Mookie not. But that's the thing I've noticed too. Yeah, his speed seems down. I'm like, it's the end of May, so I'm not too worried. It's not ideal. I just wish the Dodgers would be like upfront about it, because obviously, like with the whole back issue he was having in Oakland, obviously something about that was kind of carrying over the last few weeks. Apparently he's had this like shoulder problem for the last like week and a half, and they've just been like, tweaking it, testing it out, getting treatment on it. And they've kind of just kept that, on the down low. So just like at this point, I mean, it's so early in the season, just put him on the 10-day IL and just give him a week and a half off. Maybe probably can't now with Pollock and Bellinger out, but if they come back.
That's the problem. Do you want Luke Raley starting every day?
Oh God, no. Abort
DJ Peters too.
Yeah, so maybe he's going to get healthy. He's going to get healthy. Maybe he has to play through a little bit, but it's. I don't think. Look, the Dodgers are going to take precautions. If he's not going to be playing, if he can injure it more. So I think it's just as time goes on, he's just going to slowly get better.
Yeah.
All right. Can I do my Idiot of the Week segment now?
Yes.
All right. So this is a tough one because this guy was actually on our show about 3 weeks ago. Danny Vietti, baseball reporter, blogger, who doesn't say he's a Padres fan, but I think he's a Padres fan. So this take he put out yesterday. He put a home run, a grand slam from Fernando Tatis Jr. He posted that video highlight with this caption. Quote, Mike Trout better hurry back because that gap is closing. Stop it. Just stop. Fernando Tatis has played a little over 1 full season. To be clear, his combined WAR in that Fernando Tatis' career is still lower than it was Mike Trout's rookie season. So this comparison needs to absolutely stop. Tatis is not on the level of Soto. He's not on the level of Acuna. He's not on the level of any of these guys who have played more than 1 season. If Fernando Tatis is doing this for 3 more years, then we can talk. But if you're going to compare him to Mike Trout, I'm going to call you an idiot. And you were a nice guy when we talked to you. You were, Danny. But that take was idiotic. And you deserve to be called an idiot for that take. You're a nice guy, and I hate to do it. But come on, man. That was just pathetic take. I hated it.
I mean, the take is awful in its own right. It would be like, I wouldn't even give him the light of day, but I'd be like, I could see potentially why maybe someone would potentially want to consider if Trout this year was just like hitting 050, whatever. I don't know. I didn't get how many games they both played, but they both missed some solid time. They literally have the exact same numbers this year. So Trout's been just as good, if not better, than Tatis in the time he's played. So like I said, if Trout was hitting like under 100, okay. But no.
No. And to be clear, Trout was by far the best player in baseball until the injury on basically every single metric possible.
Yeah.
I just think it's Danny understanding his audience. I mean, he did talk about how he had like a pretty strong Padres following, so he knows that a take like that is going to take off. And it's just, I mean, what Major League Baseball is trying to do is they're trying to force Fernando Tatis Jr. down our throats. And it's just a constant thing that's happening. And like a lot of people pointed out is like Gavin Lux's grand slam yesterday was overshadowed by Fernando Tatis's grand slam because it's Fernando Tatis. And that's just what's going to happen. I mean, he's got the most swagger, and he's marketable, and he's on the cover of MLB The Show. And so I think Danny's a smart dude. I don't think if he was on this podcast right now and we asked him like, dude, what are you doing? He would back up that take that he had. I think it honestly was more
back that up.
No, I'm what I'm saying is that I think it's honestly more for the clout than it is actually his take on this.
Well, then stop doing that crap.
Right. No, I agree. I'm with you on that. I'm just saying that like that is not a take I would expect from someone that follows the game the way he does.
Tatis has played 6 less games than Trout this season. Trout's WAR is 2.4, and Tatis is 1.7. So stop it. Just stop. Stop all of these comparisons. Talk to you in 3 years, Fernando Tatis Jr. You're a hell of a player. I'll talk to you in 3 years, my friend.
It just sucks because like it'd be one thing if they just constantly showed him and the dude was just like a total jerk and unlikable. He's like a good guy. He's, you want to root for him, but it's like I don't need to see him stumbling while making a catch in like short center field that literally is routine for anyone else, but because he tripped, it makes it look like a crazy play. And I literally like, if he hits a game winner, like show me the game winner at MLB, show me his game winner, but I don't care that he hits a solo shot to right field, grand slam maybe, but it's just every home run. Like
seven angles of it, all these, the dugout celebrations of it, just like, stop all of it, man.
Yeah.
I like the guy. You said, I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. It's the MLB is just forcing him down our throats, man, and it's too much.
Like Acuna is literally like the MVP front runner in the National League.
100%.
And I feel like I'm hearing nothing. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I still think Juan Soto is the best pure hitter in baseball, and I have heard like literally nothing about him all season. His numbers aren't like what I would have expected, but like this dude's a generational talent, and I'm not hearing or seeing anything on him.
Yeah. Nope. Well, the good news is that we've also seen a lot of Shohei Ohtani, which we should be, and what he's doing is out of this world, never before seen since Babe Ruth. So I'm glad that he's getting the notoriety that he deserves. But yeah, this Tatis stuff is just over the top.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Ohtani stretch what is normally a single for most guys into a double. So he's
fun to watch.
My 50-1 MVP ticket of him is looking very, very juicy right now.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Blake. Well, we really appreciate you coming on today. It wouldn't be right if we didn't at least let you speak of 2 topics that are on your mind. So why don't you go?
I'll start with my first, and it's the fact that literally there's probably nothing out there in the world I hate. I'm a loving guy. I love everyone. I love everything. But I absolutely despise and hate with every ounce in my soul Padres Twitter. They're the absolute
I knew that's
worst.
Where that was going.
They are. It is unbelievable. I shared David some messages from the other day, and the stuff that they do say, it's unbelievable. The fact that I can tweet anything and somehow within seconds they're on it, whether it involves them or not. Sometimes it's, a shot, but a lot of the times it's not. So they're awful. Like they're the absolute worst. I can't take them anymore. Number 2, and that is to every reliever the Dodgers have, please, for the love of God, get healthy. Come back soon. Brewstar, Gonsolin, Jimmy Nelson, Scott Alexander, Corey Knebel, please. Dennis Santana.
We can leave Alexander behind.
Hey, he wasn't.
He's been decent this year.
Well,
this is a pro Scotty Ice podcast, Kevin. Get with the program.
I bet his FIP is over 5.
That's fine. I will have Alexander and his 5 FIP over Dennis Santana any day of the week because
the Uceta, Santana, Vesia. Oh man, it is just
Blake,
brutal.
help settle this discussion. Who is the worst reliever in the bullpen right now?
No. You got to phrase it better.
Okay,
out of the three, Vesia, Uceta, and Santana, rank them if your life was on the line and you needed 3 outs to get.
Now, if this is 10th inning, bases are loaded, no outs,
No. Clean inning, bottom of the ninth. You need 3 outs.
Yeah, because for whatever reason, Dennis Santana is the lead in the extras. All right, so if my life's on the line and I need 3 outs.
Yeah, in order. I need you to rank the 3.
I'm probably going. Well, for what Dennis Santana's dead last. That's easy. So he's third.
There you go. I'm going. The rest doesn't matter.
Give me Dennis Santana. Give me Dennis Santana. He's number one.
I'm with you, Jake.
Actually, wait.
Did you see what he did? Did you see what he did last year against Houston?
I was going to say, actually, scratch that. That makes sense because Dennis Santana, when the moment is at its highest in extra innings, this dude shoves. So if he comes in, not even extras. Give me the 9th inning, bases loaded, no outs. He's coming in the game. He's getting out of that jam untouched. So I'm going Dennis Santana with my life.
Well, they said clean inning. They
Bro,
said
can they just like? Can they?
Yeah,
just,
we
like,
did say clean inning.
Can they just
we've seen Uceta and Vesia get absolutely destroyed with a clean inning. We've not seen them pitch well under any tight circumstances to this point. We've seen Dennis Santana do it, so that's why I'd go with him. I mean, it's literally like pick your poison, though, right? I mean, none of these are good options, but from what I've seen, I'm going Santana, hands down. It's not even a competition for
what
me.
They need to do is they need to blindfold him in the bullpen, just blindfold him the entire game, and then say, Dennis, we're going to extras. We need you to get warm. Then he'll come out, and then he's going to just lock it down like no problem, which I don't understand.
You can't turn around and look at the scoreboard.
No, don't do it. Like last year in Houston, and then this year in San Diego. I don't know how. And I don't know. I forget what game it was. It was like a week or 2 ago where Oral was legit getting like pissed. He's like, this guy has such good stuff. And it upsets me that he can't like figure it out or use it. Because I mean, years ago, Dennis Santana was like, I think a top 5, 10-ish prospect in the system. And he has the stuff. He just, I don't get it. He just,
that has been awful. I mean, at least I've seen
another guy who I like his stuff though.
I've seen Vesia. I've seen him get through some innings, but
he's being hurt because they didn't have a minor season last year.
Dennis Santana, when the moment's big, he's gonna rise to the occasion. He's got a neck tattoo. Like, give me that guy on the mound. Also, for the record, Kevin, Scott Alexander's FIP is 3.92. So Scotty Ice in your face.
Well, not in my face because he's still bad, but at least it helps your argument a little.
Kevin, would you rather have Scott Alexander or Dennis Santana, Edwin Uceta coming in?
I'm going Uceta.
No.
What?
No,
based on what?
Man.
Give him a few more outings, he'll be better.
Dude,
Scott,
I agree.
I love Kevin, man, because he will die on the worst hill possible.
I've seen Scott Alexander in the World Series. I've seen Dennis Santana in like 11-0 games. He almost blew it against the Angels. Uceta, work with the Pryor just a little bit more. He's going to be the better pitcher.
So you're basically.
I agree with you on that statement, but right now, no.
Well, right now Alexander's hurt, so I don't want to go that route.
Scotty Ice, dude. I want Scotty.
You're hoping you strike lightning. That's what you're hoping for.
Give me Brandon League
about
over
Garrett
any of those guys. Brandon League or Chris Hatcher, I'll take them over those lousy bums.
Chris Hatcher, dude. I would take Scott Alexander throwing right-handed over Chris Hatcher.
All right, guys.
And that's our mediocre bullpen discussion.
Yeah.
Let's close this out with final thoughts. Jake, you go first.
Oh man, I'm just so happy that the Dodgers are playing well, man. It is so much more fun to watch than what we had to endure over that 20-game stretch, man. It is so nice to see them play up to their potential. It's also nice to see that sort of next man up mentality. It's what we saw, pretty much throughout 2017, throughout 2019. It just seemed like there was always a guy that rose to the occasion and was the hero on any given night. And that's the type of baseball that we're used to watching. This starting rotation has been such a fantastic thing to watch throughout this entire season. They've really held it down for this team, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. And I'm excited for Houston, man. I am excited for this series. I've been waiting for this. I'm actually more excited when they come back to Dodger Stadium, but this is going to be fun. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and all eyes are on Trevor Bauer, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a fun series. I just hope for the Dodgers' sake, they can pull out the victories just because I need the bragging rights. I just can't take Astros fans. I forget who it is, but that one guy that covers the Astros, his profile picture, he's bald. He has like
Michael
an Astros.
Schwab. I already know who it is.
He's the little
Michael
worst.
Schwab.
I already know I'm going to have interactions with him over the next 2 days. So hopefully that settles it. Again, I need Bauer for 7, Joe Kelly for the 8th. Like I need air. And like I said, just make it out. Then hopefully this weekend, the reinforcements come back. Bellinger's back. McKinstry's back. And they can keep this winning streak alive. Because like you said, Jake, it's a lot more fun when they're winning. I enjoy life a whole lot better when we're getting Dodger dubs. A whole lot more.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see the fans. There's going to be a lot of Dodger fans at that Houston series in Houston. So I'm excited to see, how they're going to treat these guys. Obviously, it's going to be more Astros fans, but I don't think it's going to be that friendly of environment there at the Juice Box. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Cody Bellinger coming back, man. I miss his defense a lot. I miss, not having to see, someone that I don't want to see in the lineup in the 8th hole and the 7th hole, basically being automatic outs. So Cody Bellinger is going to help with that, as is McKinstry. So I'm looking forward to seeing these guys back. And the last thing I got for you is the Brewers just knocked Blake Snell out of the game in the 4th inning. So this guy just is not good. Blake Snell is bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, he'll get strikeouts, but talk to me when he can pitch 6 innings.
He's just Josh Hader, but can go an extra inning.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good point.
My final thoughts are the Astros. I said it last year. I'm carrying it over. They're the biggest frauds in the American League. They will not make the postseason. They're not that good. Their pitching is suspect all across the board. McCullers is a crybaby. I'm calling my shot. There will be at least one ejection in that 2-game series because the umpires are going to get a call from Rob Manfred saying, don't let any funny business happen. And just like with Terry Collin and Tom Halley and the situation, the situation calls for
the ass is in the jackpot.
The ass is in the jackpot. No fun allowed in Major League Baseball. You're not allowed to wear your own logos. You have to just be boring and have no personality unless you're Fernando. Then I guess you're the exception. But that's my shot right there. So,
all right, I like it.
Blake Harris, thank you so much for coming on. Once again, make sure to follow him on Twitter at Blake Harris, TBLA. He's probably the best in the business covering the Dodgers. And really help us out. Subscribe, follow us on Twitter. It's all in the description below. We're making this thing blow up. We had Blake trying it a few weeks ago. We want more Dodgers. With your support, we can make that happen and bring you guys exclusive one-on-one interviews. Okay, I'm going to